And we are live. Greetings, readers and travelers, and welcome to another episode of Chattin Stats. My name is Richie Stevens, the host of this magical lit RPG podcast. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Joel Harvey. I'm not going to give him any sort of BS intro today. He's actually been here, so I can't give him crap. Joel, while you're taking a big drink of that Mountain Dew, how you doing today?
Yeah, dude. I am feeling good. I got some LARPing in this morning, and
Nice.
that was a lot of fun. And staying up, and now we're talking about books, which is another pastime I really enjoy. So
because I mean that's we've been doing this for how many years now?
yeah,
3 or
like
4.
It's been a bit, yeah.
And we already got Ryan Maxwell in the chat. Ryan, welcome in, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Oh, and Paul's here. Yeah, shut up, Paul.
Hey.
And joining us for, I think, the 7th or 8th time at this point. I've lost track. I've lost track. You may know her as the author behind Monster Punk Horizon. Fantastic series. It's a little, fun little game one series. But also,
Oh gosh.
you might know her as the author of Titan Mage, Titan Mage Ruin, Titan Mage Side Quests, Titan Mage Dragon, Titan Mage Rising, and Titan Mage Apocalypse.
You got a
I love
pile.
that cover.
And then also
Richie is very
co-authored on
proud of
Blood Knight.
his
The
books.
newest.
HP Holo / Edie Skye. Welcome in for the 7th or 8th time. I've lost track.
Yeah, thanks
just
for
have
having me again. It's always fun being on here with you guys.
Oh, we love having you on. You're like I think you're probably the 3rd unofficial member at this point because
Yeah.
of how many times you've been on. Like you're giving Zach Johnson a run for his money.
I've actually had guests think I'm a co-host sometimes. Like I feel like time.
I think someone said that you. I think it was Zeckler. Actually, we're gonna blame Zeckler. So, but how you doing? Like you doing okay?
Tired, but a good tired. I just finished another novel, and now I'm most of the way through editing it, which is good because it comes out next month.
Is it Monster
Tamer? So
yes.
yeah, I finished the first draft weekish ago, and so now I'm just going through and doing the little perfecting bits and give it another read through, but then I'll have to get on to actually making the ebook file soon because it comes out in mid-May. So, and then I start on editing Blood Knight 2. I'm going nonstop. I'm about to fall over.
Wait for Blood Knight 2 because Blood Knight 1 was a masterpiece. It was so good. It was a one day. It was a one sit. Like
I gotta give Jacob most of the credit for that because it was one that was I can't remember brain. I can't remember to what length we discussed it last time I was on, but
we got Zeckler.
It was supposed to be a series
talk crap about him anymore.
Oh no, we can. We can.
It was supposed to be a series that I took the writing lead on, but Jacob had time and so did the primary writing on it. And I didn't actually have to change that much stylistically. So a lot of Blood Knight is actually Jacob imitating my writing, which is kind of terrifying, but also super cool.
He did a great job at it. I mean, and of course, we can't go without saying the amazing talent from Jess and Daryl over at Rogue Art Publishing. They did a fantastic job with this audio.
Yeah.
I love my my print books because it's really fun to just hold the print books, but I honestly consider the audiobooks the definitive version because Jess and Daryl do such an amazing job on it.
They really do.
They bring the characters to more life than I ever could with just words on a page.
Welcome in, Facebook user. If you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, we'll be able to see who you are. So please let us know because we want to make sure we would get give the right thanks to the person saying that they love the hair. I'm guessing you're talking to HP over there.
I finally got it redone. It's in my natural
it looks good.
It looks good. And I feel normal again now that it's purple.
And of course, you got the glasses for the Edie Skye.
These glasses have more character than I do. Like they are the coolest things I've ever owned. They got little suspension cables on them. Like
that is the most steampunk thing you've ever.
Oh yes. I got an ad on Facebook for them whenever Black Friday sales galore were being advertised. So I actually have 4 different ones that I got for really cheap because of a coupon code. So I love them.
It's Joe Dan. Hi, Joe Dan. We love you, buddy. Freaking Joe Dan. I got to pick his brain later, anyways, when he's back in the country because apparently he's not here. So we're here. We're
I knew I
talking.
had him
We're
on.
celebrating because you've had 2 big releases.
And I've got one coming up next week too, by the way. Surprise. No, this week. I think.
Okay, hold on. What?
It's
What
okay.
now?
Okay, so this is a Chat and Stats exclusive. Hold on, like.
Okay, so I have been last year at Fantasy, which is a convention that's coming up this weekend that I'm going to. I was invited to participate in a whole lot of different anthologies. And one of those anthologies has already come out. It's Giant Freaking Robots by
I was going to say,
Raccoon
is this
Press.
the mech one?
But there is another one coming up the first day of Fantasy called Paladins of Valor that is basically, about good guys doing good stuff. But there's another Titan Mage story in Paladins of Valor. So Titan Mage fans have that to look forward to.
Well, damn it, now I got to pick up this book. Okay, so y'all need to chill because my backlog is already massive enough.
Oh yeah, we already want to chill. Like Jacob just signed a contract for another anthology, which means that by the end of the year, we will have released 12 books this year. And some of them are released by us. Some of them are released traditionally through Bane, and others are anthologies from other publishers. But it's like, oh my gosh, this year.
Hey, it's the year of the Holos, and I'm okay with it. So it's just our backlog is
now
massive.
You're making me want to play Hollow Knight.
I'm probably going to play Hollow Knight when I go lay down in like an hour. So, because Hollow Knight is just a fun game. Just don't listen to spicy books when playing it because it changes the tone completely.
Oh my gosh. I kind of want to play Hollow Knight while listening to spicy books just to see how the tone changes. But
it takes stabbing to a whole new level. I'll put it that way. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the first release of the audio and box set because guys, if you're looking for 54 hours of content,
that's a lot.
This is what 54 hours of content looks like.
It's a whole lot.
It's a lot. All 5 books plus the side quests for 1 credit on Audible.
Yep, you get the whole shebang. The whole current shebang because more Titan Mage is coming.
It is a damn good bundle. Because I love box sets. Box sets are fantastic, and anytime I can add a new box set to my library, like I'm going through and just it's so much easier just to have it so I can keep going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when authors are God damn it. I want to say Joe Dan. I'm taking a spitball at that's Joe Dan. I don't know, and anyways, box sets, or as Harmon Cooper accidentally had a typo for his tokens and towers, and it was a box sex. Yeah, that was fantastic. Loved that because it actually went up on Audible for a pre-order like that.
Oh no! Yes! Oh my god! I can only hope I make a typo like that. The closest I get is really fun dictation artifacts when I'm using Dragon. There was a when I was doing, I want to say, Titan Mage 4 and 5. You have the Titan Final Edict, and every time I said it, Dragon heard "finally dick." So appropriate.
Yeah.
I had to go through and find every instance of it and change it to make sure that none slipped through.
So, but Titan Mage by Edie Skye, the box set, fantastic. And of course, Daryl gives it his all as Locke, and I love it. And I was hoping Daryl would be able to join us tonight, and same with Jess, but they are both fairly busy, so I don't want to bother them too much because we haven't had them on since we promoted Dragon, actually.
Oh yeah,
because we had that was the episode where we it was right before Dragon came out or right after, I can't remember, but it's so good. And now that I've gone through the entire series and I'm going back and re-listening to the series because I picked up the box set, I'm trying to figure out which book is my favorite because each book has such a unique theme to it, and damn it, it's hard because obviously Ember's my favorite of the girls.
We got the canvas.
I do have the canvas. The canvas is here. It doesn't leave the booth. Mainly because my girlfriend says I can't hang it up in the living room.
Ah, no.
That's where the Dark Souls art is.
Well, that's still a cool substitute, though.
Oh no, it's awesome. Her former manager gave it to her and had it like actually custom made.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really freaking cool. But either
I like the first one. It's got
the first Titan Mage is really good. But each one has like a key moment that is just badass.
Mhm.
Like especially the opening of 3. We get the superhero landing, busting through a wall, just badass anime scene. And then we get to see Locke go a little berserk in book 4 with Sloane.
I'm trying to remember all the books because it's been like a year since I read them.
And Apocalypse is really good too. It's just it's hard for me to pick.
Apocalypse is just nuts. I love Apocalypse. I love them all, but
they're all fantastic. I can't rank them in like which is the best out of all of them, other than Ember is best girl. That's my opinion.
For me, they're difficult to rank too for similar reasons because I was at different stages of my development as a harem author as I was writing them.
Right.
I do want to say book 1 is probably like I like them all. Book 1 is probably my least favorite because I was still finding my ground. Book 2, or finding my way in harem. Book 2, though, I really like because I started to fall in love with the world more so than just the plot and characters. I felt a little freer to explore things, and world building is absolutely my thing. But I have to restrain it quite a bit because it's very easy for it to overtake a novel. And so people liked the additional world building in book 2. And I was like, okay, this series is a bestseller now. And they liked the world building. I'm going to go full world building in Dragon. And Dragon honestly might be my favorite just because it is the one where I really started to find my groove in writing this series with Dragon, which is why it was supposed to be 80,000 words, but ended up ballooning to 120,000, which was a pain to write in 3 months. Oh my
God.
a
chunky boy.
And then book 4 I really like because by that point I had figured out my world. I'd gotten comfortable in it. And one of the funny things about book 4, Jacob wrote all the outlines for Titan Mage, and I had some input into the plot, but not. It was very limited. He wrote me a kidnapping plot, and I hate kidnapping plots. I find them really boring, and so my challenge was, how do I take a kidnapping plot that's been given to me and make it something I actually care about? And that's how Sloane's storyline happened. Because in the original outline, Sloane was a very subtle character, and avoiding spoilers, the person who kidnaps her was pretty much a mustache-twirly villain. And the story ended up developing quite differently than what was outlined, even though it followed the scenes that were set up. So Rising was a cool accomplishment in that. And then Apocalypse was where I went ham with the mecha references, and it was like, you know what, this is my mecha series. I am going to write an absolute love letter to readers who enjoy the same crazy mecha shows that I do. And especially like the last half of the book is just, it's nuts. But if you've watched any, say, Trigger anime, you kind of know where it's going. And
Studio Trigger is probably one of my favorite studios. So I know what you mean. I know what you mean there. And that's, the anime references are fantastic. And just like, it's such a love letter, in my opinion, to like 90s anime.
Oh yeah.
Like there's Gurren Lagann references, of course, Gundam, Evangelion, which I am not an Evangelion fan.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, I'm not either.
I already have depression. I don't need more. So, but you give such a nice homage to all the great animes. Like, and even though I'm not a Evangelion fan, I know its value and I know it's worth a damn. It is so freaking good. It's just not for me.
Yeah, it's one of those where I respect the role it plays in anime history, but ultimately, if I'm going to sit down and watch a mecha show, like people who watch mecha shows don't watch mecha shows to watch the main character refuse to get in the freaking robot.
Yeah, we want to
And-
see you in the robot kicking ass. That's why we went and saw Pacific Rim in theaters and not the
Exactly.
second one, because the second one sucks.
Yes, we don't speak of the second one. Nope.
Yeah, Joel. We don't speak of the second one. I came into the living room when I was up at Joel's one time. It's when I was staying with him. And they had the second movie on. I was like, no.
To
I
be
turned
fair,
around and
I've
walked
never
out.
seen it at that point.
And I still walked out because I knew how bad the second one was.
The second one made me mad twice because first off, it was a mediocre movie that just didn't handle its subject matter well, but also it was yet another movie that could have used John Boyega well and totally did not.
I
And-
forgot John Boyega was in it.
I know. It's like I really want to see him just once get a really good sci-fi or fantasy role that does him justice.
John Must Die in the End. Is that the title?
Huh?
He did one. It's something must dies at the end.
That actually sounds right. John dies at the end. I didn't even know that was adapted into a movie.
I believe it was. Yeah.
I'm
Attack
gonna
on the
say
Block. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh,
that
okay.
He's in Attack on the Block. He's got some pretty good roles in here. Obviously, Star Wars screwed him over.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, his backlog. I
I need to watch more of his stuff then. I'm behind on all my watching ever.
I'm trying to think. There was one really, really good one I enjoyed, but I think it might have been his role in The Circle with Emma Watson and Tom Hanks. That was a good movie too. Weird movie, but it
Sounds
was
like
fun.
the story of my life. Always being behind on my TBR. Word.
Joel and I looked at our TBR for
Maybe.
upcoming shows, and it's like, oh my god!
Mm-hmm.
And
I
the
have just
author,
given up on trying to watch things in a timely manner.
the author
Like,
we
I'm
have,
trying to finish One Piece. I'm not finishing the anime, not the Netflix, because obviously I finished the Netflix one.
the Netflix was great, and I'll
Oh,
just
yeah.
wait for more of that. I don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
Anime?
the Netflix one was one of the best things I've ever seen on Netflix.
It's so good. It's so good. That cast, they gave it their heart and soul,
yeah.
and you can tell. You can tell.
Absolutely. And the marketing for it was so good too. Like a lot of it was really refreshing because there are a lot of shows that come out usually like right before they release. There's always some kind of headline that is like the director said he didn't make this for fans or something like that.
That's what the
automatically
Fallout
just-
director said, and it
Yeah.
ends up being one of the best shows
Yeah.
out right now.
And the thing that I liked about the One Piece marketing was that from the moment it started, it was fun. You could tell that the
Yeah.
actors were really just absolutely into it. And every single
That.
promo I saw, I need to watch that too because
Damien Haas from Smosh is in it, and it's fantastic.
But the marketing itself was just delightful, and I was charmed every single time I saw something leading up to it, and the show lived up to it. So I mean, the Netflix One Piece was a magical experience all the way around, and is one of my favorite things. I love it so much.
It's what was it? The actual creator was like pretty much
Yeah.
passing the torch to the actor who played Luffy.
Oh my
And
god,
that was so wholesome.
I cried when I saw that.
And like, as I've seen, I think like almost 550 episodes of One Piece.
Mhm.
I respect its worth. I do not have the time.
It's-
I will catch up when they have the movies that lets me, do what I can.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's
I fully admit that it's one that I watch when I work out.
the One Piece truck that was at Dragon Con. Oh my god, that was so cool.
I'm gonna have to look that up because I was not a dragon.
Oh, it was badass. Harmon, welcome in. Got a fluffy tail lover.
Oh, hey, it's Fluffy Tail Lover. I know him from Discord.
Gotcha.
They're familiar people here.
Welcome in, welcome in. So, Titan Mage. Before we start promoting some more Blood Knight, because that one is really good. Obviously, I think book 4 might end up being my favorite because of the kidnapping scene, because Locke going badass for Sloane's
Oh yeah,
story. Which, look at Sloane.
he gets a lot of badass
She's
moments.
so
but that was-
wholesome. She's so cute and adorable.
She's gonna be the main focus of the next Titan Mage book too.
Is she?
Yeah.
Yay!
So
I get more
I'm
sewing content.
working on, and this is something that we can discuss later too if you've got other topics you want to get to. But I am currently working on the outlines for the next arc of or Locke's the continuation of Locke's arc in Titan Mage, and so we've got multiple Titan Mage series to look forward to, but that is one of them, and she goes first.
God, I can't wait. I can't wait. And of course, I've been reading Monster Girl Tamer on Patreon because I'm just ready for that damn book.
It's been a fun one too. It's very different from Titan Mage.
Edie Skye looks a ton like HP.
We're twins. We get that a lot.
Damn it, Zeckler. Zeckler's just in here and everything. So, Kyle, have fun at your D&D session. We love you, buddy. Thank you for tuning in. So, what would you say probably the most fun scene you wrote was? Like the one that sticks with you the most? And would be okay, or actually, how about this? What scene would you use to pull someone in to read the series if they had no idea what it was? Because obviously, my tagline on Twitter was "Come find out why or how they put the steam in steampunk," which I thought was brilliant.
That is a really tough one. Oh my gosh. I mean, in terms of the one that was most fun to write, the entire climax of Apocalypse was just nonstop fun for me. Like I remember there was a level of energy in writing that I didn't have for the rest of the series. It was not to say that I didn't have it, but there was definitely a heightened. I went to the coffee shop and had an insane amount of coffee and kept that energy running through the end of the book, and it was just that. But can't really use that to get people into the series because it's all spoiler. I would say the opening of Dragon, probably, because you have that 3-point landing, that rule of cool landing where Locke he's definitely found more of his place in the world. You have the banter between the main characters, you have the weird monsters they're fighting, and it's a very self-contained entry into the world. And with the balance of body humor and high action, I mean, it tells you if you know whether you're going to like the series by the end of that scene or not.
Yeah.
I just like Bexley's commentary the whole time.
Oh, Bexley was one of my favorites to write. Bexley has been a controversial character, but
okay, we need to talk about the controversy behind this because I want to know how people were convinced she was a virgin.
Oh my gosh, yes. This was one of my so for context, for those who don't know of this,
Joel doesn't know about this, so you're
okay. Yeah. So when I was writing Titan Mage, I was not very active on any harem communities at all, just because I was too busy writing, and I was writing the books as they were releasing, so there was no time for anything else. I didn't even have time to be sick.
Welcome in, buddy.
And I happened upon I joined a few harem discords just because I had the time at one point, and started, searching Titan Mage, see how people were talking about it, because it was a bestseller at that time, and I was really curious to see what people liked and didn't like about it. Well, turns out that at least in one corner of the community, there's this significant hate for Bexley. But I found this discussion that was happening. The controversy around Bexley basically comes down to some people think that because she makes sexual jokes and jokes about, for example, sleeping with other men, that she's likely to cheat on Locke, even though she never actually cheats on Locke in the entire course of the book. And given knowing what I know now about the genre, I wouldn't have written her that way, because it is a real sticking point for some readers. They want their love interest characters to be 100% loyal. So I get that. But anyway, as part of the discovery of this controversy around Bexley, I found this really, really lengthy discussion where one half was arguing that she was disloyal to him and an absolute hoe, and the other half was arguing like, no, Bexley has to be actually a virgin, because she's a virgin who is just talking herself up to make herself look more appealing to Locke. And I found that conversation, and to this day, it's one of my favorite discussions of my work, because the discussion is interesting, but also I look at the first spicy scene I wrote with Bexley, and it's like it's light BDSM. I mean, she obviously knows what she's doing. And my first thought when I saw that discussion was like, are they building virgins differently now? It was. And now that I've lurked on those groups more, I mean, I absolutely love them. There's some good discussion that happens there, but I find the controversy surrounding Bexley to be amusing, but also very informative.
I apologize for the child wanted in here, so, and if you can't tell, he's actually like holding on to me.
So cuddly.
Oh, okay. Yep. You see the mic. But
it was one of those things that in subsequent works, when Jacob and I were planning them and working on them, we were like, we need to make it absolutely clear that all the love interests are going to be 100% loyal to the main character, so we don't have to deal with this again.
Right.
So I'm actually pretty sure in Blood Knight, there are distinct scenes that each girl gets where she gives a reason why she's never going to leave Clark. And that's why.
No, and we're going to talk about that in a minute because I loved Blood Knight, and I cannot get over how much I absolutely love that book. It was so damn good. Okay, I'm going to put you down, bud. You're like heavy.
I know, like, as soon as you told us about it, I was super hyped for it. And it lived up to the hype.
Yes.
And the covers,
in my opinion,
beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Yanai understood the assignment. So our Titan Mage covers were done by Jackson Shota, who did a great job. But at the time, we had him working on Jacob and I were writing Monster Girl and Blood Knight at the same time, and so we decided to go with two different illustrators so we wouldn't put too much work on one illustrator.
Right.
And so Jackson was working on Monster Girl Tamer's cover at the time, and Jacob really liked artwork that Yanai had put out for oh my gosh, was it Bruce Centaur? There was another harem author who's released a lot of stuff, but we just really love those covers, and so emailed Yanai, and he was available, and the rest is history.
I'm trying to think of would it be done in the same style? Because I would say probably Bruce would be the one, either Bruce or Dante King, because
Dragon's Justice was the main book
that might be Bruce. Let me double check.
At least I think so. There's so many harem books hanging around our house that I get them all confused.
Yeah, Dragon's Justice is Bruce Centaur.
Yeah.
Which, a fantastic series. So, no, Titan Mage, good. Guys, one credit, 54 hours of content. You're getting 5 books plus a side book. It's good. It's
a lot
really good. Now,
there will be a paperback coming out eventually, but I've got to get through all of our book releases this year before I even have time to release it.
I need to see the formatting for that, because just holding all 5 of these, or 6 technically.
Yeah, and that's the reason why it's going to be later this year, because it's going to require reformatting. And between Monster Girl this month, Blood Knight 2 and Blood Knight 3 all coming out before July, there's just no time.
No, it's understandable. Switching over to Blood Knight, because Blood Knight is fantastic. Getting the audiobook, I was not ready for Jess to be the main narrator, because I was so used to Daryl being the main narrator for Titan Mage. So when Jess started talking, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they've been experimenting with using female lead narrators recently, as I understand it, and
it threw me off, but I was all for it. I was absolutely for it. And her voices for each of the girls was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
She did such a good job. I don't know who my favorite girl is yet. I like Sammy. Don't get me wrong. I really like Sammy. She could be a redhead, so I'm kind of leaning towards Sammy.
She could be any color one wants.
Yeah.
But Brooke.
Oh, I love Brooke.
They're all such damn good characters. Of course, Emma.
There's such variety to them, and I think that's one of the things that makes it hard to pick. Because Sammy to me has the most complex backstory, and you really don't expect her backstory.
It broke me.
It
broke me a little bit. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're being vulnerable. I don't like this. No, give me hot girls. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel emotions right now.
But you get them anyway. But yeah,
I got the feels. I didn't like it, but it was good.
Brooke is is probably my favorite, just because I I always like the really rambunctious, tomboyish kind of characters. They're fun to write, and
I need character art of all the girls.
that will happen eventually. I know. So book 1 is Emma, book 2 is Ixia, book 3 is Sammy. Book 4 I think is going to be Brooke, and book 5 is going to be Ashley. I believe. I have to check with Jake.
I am curious about Ashley. I'm a lot more curious about her, and
her arc is interesting. Jacob and I were chatting about book 5 this morning on our it's gonna get. So the series is gonna be complete with 5 books.
Well, so I like how, at least so far, the covers of Titan Mage obviously focus more on like the story focuses on the girl who's on the cover. I did not get that vibe from Blood Knight. It didn't feel like it was mainly focused on Emma.
Yeah, it was. We wanted to emphasize the harem as a group more so than individual characters, and part of that was just how with Titan Mage we wanted to focus on an individual girl, partly because of the place my writing was in at the time, and I think in one of the past Titan Mage episodes, I think we've discussed it in detail, but basically, for those who haven't seen those episodes, I have OCD and it affects my writing in a way that makes it makes organizing challenging. And so when we did Titan Mage, rather than having me focus on the harem as a whole, we basically devoted each book to one girl. So I only had to worry about the backstory of a single harem member for each book. That's changed for subsequent books because I've found my way in writing harem, and my writing skills have improved as I've practiced my OCD writing coping techniques. But that was the reason for that in Titan Mage.
Okay. And obviously another big change from Titan Mage to Blood Knight, other than the setting, is the relationships feel more true, where they were kind of transactional in Titan Mage. I mean, obviously Locke cared about the girls and everything, and we see that time and time again. But the bond that's there in Blood Knight, it felt like it flowed a lot more naturally.
Oh yeah.
It felt like, hey, he was a part of this group and all this other stuff. So it really, just held in. Joel, take on that.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the how it focused on all of the harem characters. I would say that definitely was a good introduction to the series.
It's got a little bit of everything in it too.
Yeah, it does. Also, I love the from the D&D thing at the beginning and at the end. I was just from beginning to end, like the whole story was like
I was hooked.
Oh yeah, Jacob didn't necessarily feel like writing a lit RPG for this one, but he definitely liked the idea of having sort of D&D inspired spells and logic and whatnot, and also he liked the idea of writing a harem of girls who were not only monster girls but gamer girls also. And so that, but in terms of the improved romance, that was actually a direct reaction to some of the criticism that Titan Mage got. Which was that one of the most consistent pieces of criticism was that the relationships did feel very transactional. I understand where that comes from. I don't necessarily agree with that criticism, but I also didn't like. I wanted to make the books more romantic to begin with, but I avoided putting romance in them because all the harem books I had read at that point lacked it, and so I thought it was a genre trope. And so whenever that criticism started coming in, I was like, oh, you mean I can write romance? Heck yeah. And so basically that criticism allows me to write what I actually want to write in terms of developing romances. And so it's like, you can't really get, you can't have criticism better than that. So,
right.
There's some questions I think in the comments too. I'm not calling on them because you guys are running it.
Oh, you're good. So Sam asked, how did you get good cover art for your books? So you talked about you used 2 different artists.
Yep. So what I do whenever I design covers, first of all, I don't use AI art. There's ethical concerns for me. There's copyright concerns for me, but also I just really enjoy working with artists. And I find that I view cover art not simply as art for a single book cover. I view it as branding material.
Yeah.
And so I want to have high quality art that I can copyright and use as I please. Now, in terms of actually finding the artist, what I actually do whenever I start writing in a certain genre, I will go look at the Amazon bestseller list for that genre and see what the best-selling covers look like. And once I've sort of figured out what the design language for that particular genre is, I will either go find artists who produce similar art, or if I can, I will try to hire the artists for the covers that catch my eye the most. And
Right.
the way I found Jackson was for the Titan Mage covers was, I want to say at the time, the Sky Realms series was trending really heavily on Amazon, and every single time I went to a certain bestseller list, my eye was always drawn to one of the Sky Realms covers.
Are you talking about Troy
And
Osgood's Skyrim?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. That
I
sounds
did
right.
not know Jackson did the artist or the
Yeah.
art for that.
And I looked that
Ah!
up, and yeah, and I was like, oh, that's who the artist is. Let's see if he'll do some stuff. And he did some stuff. And the same thing for Yanai. Yanai, as I said earlier, has done a bunch of harem covers. And so we just figured out who he was based upon what cover he had illustrated, and then hired him that way. And that tends to be what I do. Other artists that I found, I will just breeze around art sites, DeviantArt, Twitter, ArtStation, and just I keep a list of people whose art looks like something I'm willing to buy, and whether they're open for commissions. Because a lot of really talented artists they generally don't open for commissions just because they already have so much work. But
Right.
that's generally the technique that I use.
I like seeing like my buddy Daxton, he's an artist, and he's done some artwork for a few authors that I introduced him to, and his art style is so unique.
Mhm.
And watching how he did some of the like shirt designs that he mocked up and everything, he like records his drawing process.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see how they do that. So I love when artists do that. But
I
also,
think Jackson has done that for a few of the Titan Mage covers as well, and it's just wild to watch because it starts out as blobs of color,
Mhm.
and it looks sort of mediocre until you get to the last 30 seconds, and then suddenly he adds all these little details in the last 10 to 30 seconds that suddenly make everything explode and pop, and it's like you can't even slow it down enough to see precisely what he does. It's
and that's
wild.
what Boss Logic did that for what was it? The Assassin's Creed Valhalla reveal.
Uh-huh.
Because they used his artwork for the reveal. They reached out to him. They're like, "Hey, we want you to do this." He was like, "Oh yeah, sure, that's fine." And like he's really made a name for himself. Every time he posts something on Twitter, I'm like, "Yes, I need this." So I like it's just so cool. And of course, when authors are like, "Hey, cover art done by at
Mhm.
so and so," I'm like, I'm immediately going to go follow them.
Oh yeah.
So it just when it boosts their credibility, it shows, hey, they're fantastic at what they do. And 3, go give them a follow. They're nice. Go interact with them. They're just wonderful people.
Yeah, I think I've actually become buddies with several of the artists that I've hired. They're cool people to interact with.
That's how we are with the authors
Absolutely.
Yeah.
that we have on the show. I mean, I message you from time to time, just like, hey,
Oh, yeah.
how's it going? Doing okay? Because what was it? It was right around the time you were sick last year, right before Dragon Con. I was like, hey, are you feeling better? Are you coming to Dragon Con? We'd love to see you. No, okay, go play Armored Core.
Yep. That was a rough sickness too. Like it was a cold, but it was one of those colds that just knocked me out. Like I was too sick to play Armored Core, and I was so mad about it.
It's always
That's
a tough
a game
time.
that requires concentration, especially if you're not used to FromSoft games. And I wasn't used to FromSoft games.
FromSoft was like, hey, you know how we make Dark Souls games? Yeah. Remember Armored Core?
Yeah. The short story that I wrote in Giant Freaking Robots was directly inspired by that really punishing tutorial in Armored Core 6.
Oh my god, it's so hard, but so much fun.
Yes, I go back and play it now just frequently, just because once I figured it out, it became fun. That's kind of
I
that's
rented it, and
that's
I'm
what
like, I
makes
need to
me
buy this
think
game.
about that game.
Joel, we need Armored Core.
We do.
It's one of those games where it kicks your butt until you figure out the trick of
Mhm.
each level, and then suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, you're a monster! You're destroying everything. It's great.
No, that's accurate. So Joel, did you have any comments you wanted to share about Blood Knight?
Yeah, I love the hidden urban fantasy setting.
Mhm.
Again, the characters were fantastic. I love me some monster girls.
Mhm. And there are more coming
Um,
next month.
Book 2 is next month.
Monster Girl Tamer 1 is next month.
Oh,
Book
that's
2
we're getting back to our Monster Punk Horizon universe.
Yes. Book 2 of Blood Knight is coming out in, let's see, July? I think July.
Let me look it up on Amazon really quick.
I got so many books coming out, I don't even know.
Well, our backlog is hating us right now, but because the next episode we have is with Rachel Niekirk of Legion Publishing, and her book comes out on the 23rd for the audio, and it's like, oh, we're gonna power through this quick.
yeah, I got like 6 books yesterday.
July 18th and then October 17th. You're gonna make me wait all the way till October for book 3?
Yeah, well, we initially this year, so earlier this year, Jacob and I were both like going full force. He wrote 250,000 words on the first three Monster Punk, on the first 3 Blood Knight books, and I was going crazy with Monster Girl Tamer, and we were all having like really good pace. We felt invincible, and we were like, you know what? Let's release 2 books a month, or no, let's release a book every 2 months this year. And then so we tentatively planned to do that, but then we actually sat down and like we made our pre-orders and whatnot, and then when I actually sat down to do some of the work relating to it, I realized that if we release a book every 2 months, it really cuts into my writing, and especially messes with my OCD, because one of the things I get obsessed with OCD is productivity and lists and stuff like that. And I can very easily get overwhelmed by having too much on my to-do list. And we found with Titan Mage, with my writing, I did spectacular writing when the only thing I had to focus on was the writing. And so we ended up shifting the release schedule later in the year so that we're only releasing a book every 3 months, like we did with Titan Mage. And that basically allows me to have 2 months of solid writing, and then a month before a release to get the release related stuff ready. And so that's why that schedule is the way it is. And we're going to be doing the 3-month schedule from here on out.
Okay. I mean, I'm not complaining because it gives me more time to catch up on my backlog before the next.
And that's another thing too. It's like harem is a genre where the readers enjoy fast releases, but also you can have too much too fast.
Yes.
And that's something that I'm careful to avoid, because I mean, there are authors I don't read because they just release too fast. Like, I know I'm never going to catch up, and so I don't bother. And I tend to lean heavily toward authors that have short books and small backlists for that very reason.
That's understandable. I mean, like right now I'm reading Apocalypse and Me, and I always want to wait until a book comes, or until there's multiple books in a series, so that way I can power through it. And I was like,
yeah.
And what sold me was it said Chainsaw Man meets a battle royale. I was
oh
like,
my gosh. I'm sold now too, and I already have too much to read.
I was like, all right, you got me. And I'm just like, I'm trying to find something to hold me over until Knights of Eternity comes out. That's the Calamity book that we're doing, because my paperback's on its way. And by my paperback, I mean Joel's paperback, because my paperback is going to be signed, and I'm excited.
Well, I'm just going to go take mine and get signed.
Yeah, fuck you, Joel. You get to go. I don't. Dick. I'm just like, I'm in that like rut of like, I'm trying to get through my backlog, but everything is just so piled up, and it's like new books keep coming out.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I like harem, but it's one of those where I'm like, I cannot read a harem book after another harem book
Yeah.
after another. I have to space it out.
Yeah, I have to switch genres between harem books because I love them, but harem books are kind of my popcorn books.
Yeah.
They're my brain turned off books. And I always like to balance them with some classic fantasy or sci-fi.
Yeah. That's understandable. Sorry, I keep yawning. I've been up since
That's
2 a.m.
one of the things I love about this genre is that, or the progression fantasy genre, is that there's just so many niches that you can get your popcorn harem book in, and then you'll be like, I'm in the mood for like an apocalypse series
Yeah.
or something like that. So,
And there's a lot of apocalypse books out right now. Like
There are,
most of
yeah.
my new release pickups are apocalypse books. I just
Yep.
finished up Ghost of the Truth Seeker, which I didn't realize was an apocalypse book. I was like, oh, it's narrated by Daniel Wisniewski. Yeah, I'm gonna pick that up. So I did.
There are a lot of cooking themed ones coming out too.
There's a
and
lot of
Why
cozy
will Paul?
I've been
cooking
wanting to
themes.
dip into those.
Like Dakota Kraut's Cooking with Disaster was fantastic.
I was so proud of
love it.
myself because Blood Knight beat that one on a bestseller list. Like Blood Knight released the week after one of his latest in that series, and I fully did not expect to hit number one on that list because it's a Dakota Kraut book. And I woke up one morning and it hit number one, and it blew my mind.
Hey, you know,
I have the
honestly,
best
I'm gonna give you some props here. You deserve it. It's good. Blood Knight is damn good. You and Jacob did a fantastic job on that. So Jacob, if you're watching this or whenever Heather tells you about it, hey, you did a damn good
He's in the
job.
next room. I can yell it to him afterward.
All right, yell at him.
Yeah,
Speaking of-
for those who are watching,
speaking of
he
yelling-
would be with us, but he's meeting about another series with co-authors and stuff at this point.
Where's the man of the hour? Where's the Dazzle?
Dazzle is somewhere. He's probably just hanging out in his favorite window right now. He is somewhat chaotic during interviews, so I leave the door peaked so he can come in if he wants to, but he's not nearly as eager to be in front of the camera as Nova was. And he also, Dazzle has reached puberty, shall we say, and he has a squishmallow that he likes to drag around and do some harem appropriate stuff with. So I've been kind of hesitant.
Oh no, the one I was just
to
holding
allow him in front of the camera.
has an appointment next week.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah. We
Solar
found,
just turned 1 and is going through heat. And I'm like, y'all
Yeah.
need to stop.
we found Dazzle doing some stuff and scheduled his appointment very quickly afterward because it was loud in the middle of the night.
Hermes is going to have a fun day because he gets all of his shots and
Oh,
he's losing a little piece of him. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
going to be mad. I
we
hope
should have
they
done
give
it
him
earlier, but
I hope they give him the body cast. Maddie wants to get the body cast.
oh my gosh.
I hope he gets the body cast.
Yeah, we could have done it earlier with Dazzle, but we had 2 conventions this week. We had SC Comic Con last week, and then we've got Fantasy coming up this weekend, and just didn't want to risk any health stuff happening while we were out of town with him. And so after Fantasy, after we get home,
Speaking of last weekend, why is it every time I have you on the show, I always get the dates mixed up? I always want to say you're the week before. It's every time.
I mess up perceptions of time, so I fully get it.
Because I'm like looking at my schedule. I'm like, yeah, I think it's like, oh no, I meant to do
I think
this
he's
week.
just so hyped for the episode. He wants it to
Yeah.
I want to
come a
move it
week
up.
early.
Yeah, that's what it is. I just want to move it up. And it's like, you know what? If you come to Dragon Con this year, we owe you dinner. We owe you and Jacob dinner just because of like how awesome you guys are. And you sent us the entire set. Joel's
You
set
deserve
sitting
it.
in the living room.
Stuff, man.
Which
That's
I told Joel, I was like,
invaluable.
you get
had
it when
me
you
on the
get back.
show 8 times. I mean,
We love having you on. It's always a blast, and it's such a fun time. It's same with like all of the guests we've had on. It's like we've had multiple recurring guests for a reason. It's not that we can't book anyone, it's that we love having them on and we love celebrating their stuff.
I love coming on here too. This is fun. This is a fun
Then
podcast.
they just release a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
This is my busiest year ever, and I hope next year is less busy because
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that I'm not working 50 to 60 hours a week next year.
yeah.
So
That sounds
unless
awesome.
it's in this room. This is where
Yes.
I want to be doing most of my stuff.
And that would be awesome to do this full time. So before we
Oh.
forget it, there was a question up in the comments earlier about what books would you recommend that are specifically like mine. I didn't want it to get lost, so I just figured I'd mention it.
Did I
But
miss over that? Oh,
but yeah,
Zekler.
it was
Zekler
way up at the beginning, but we had an avalanche of comments since then. But yeah, in terms of books, I would personally recommend like my stuff. There's not a lot of giant robot harem out there, which really surprises me given how obviously successful Titan Mage was. But in terms of style, one of my absolute favorites is Magic Steampunk Pirate Booty by Grady Sparks.
That's a fun one.
And it has very similar humor. Like it's very bawdy, but very artfully written. And it's just like a fun summer blockbuster style adventure that is like high adventure, but also very hilarious. If you like the steampunk magic in Titan Mage, Otherworld Academy by Deacon Frost is a good one.
That is a fantastic one.
It's focused more on it's basically like sexy Harry Potter, but so it definitely focuses more on the magic than the action, but that's there. I've also been listening to a lot of Virgil Knightley's stuff recently.
I was getting ready to recommend his Barbarian.
I just finished what the Body Ballads of Bodrick the Bard. And if you're looking for something that is just purely hilarious, that is a good one. But also his, I forget who he co-wrote that one with. It has just completely slipped my mind. I'm going to have to look it up. But also Masterclass that he wrote with Annabelle Hawthorne is good if you want really, really well done characters. And because that's a great one. Let me look up who wrote Bodrick the Bard with him. Really
I will say if you're
Duel
interested
the Fast Food
in
Barbarian, that one is a fun one.
that has one of my favorite harem covers ever. Serena Silverlake, that's who co-authored Bodrick the Bard with him. But
I was going to say Simon Archer.
Simon Archer's got some really good stuff I would recommend.
Simon Archer was the author that got me into harem because I read what was it, Made to Order, the Build a Cat Girl series.
That's a good one.
So insane that I was like, hell yeah, this is the genre for me.
The one that took me by surprise, which I should have known because I was like, oh, it's a Simon Archer book, but his I'm the Bad Guy series. Zach Johnson narrates it, and he recommended it. He's like, hey, I'm working on this book. I think you're going to like it. He's like, here's what it is. I was like, all right, cool. You know, it's you. I'm going to read it. And I got through the first 2 chapters and immediately texted Joel and I said, you need to get this. Download it now. Because he takes he does a 36-hour turn-based like strategy, like Civ game almost. Because he loses track of time. And then he gets sucked into the game world and everything to play as the villain because the heroes are corrupt.
Yeah, I never imagined a Civ game being as intense as they wrote it in that series.
It's so good. And it's like you take all the quirky, like, you know, silly, fun, batshit crazy methods, which is one reason I recommend Titan Mage is just because it's silly. It's fun. There's a lot of, you know, over the top like action.
That's just my trademark at this point.
It adds to it. It adds to it. That's
what I write best, I find. Like when I try to be serious, it doesn't work nearly as well.
Ember fell over.
Who writes the Super Mage? Or not Super Mage. What's the harem that's like super
Jamie Hawks?
Her power?
Are you talking about the one with Breaker in it that Sambo Theater does?
I think so.
That's Jamie Hawk.
Also, everybody loves large chess. Like, I don't know.
I still need to read that one. I keep
Super's X Heroes.
That I find something else.
That's the one.
Yeah, the box set. That was my introduction to harem. Because I was like, oh, it's Sound Booth Theater, but I didn't notice burlesque. Because I was like, oh, it's Sound Booth Theater, and it's Sound Booth Burlesque. I was like, Justin Thomas James. Jeff Hayes. All right, I'll read this. It's superheroes. Didn't look at the description or anything, and then I just get pretty much a fuck fest, and I was like, oh,
It's that kind of book. For a moment, I thought you said Everybody Loves Large Chests was your introduction. I was like, whoa, that's the deep end right there.
I mean, I did actually listen to Everybody Loves Large Chests before Supers. I just didn't consider it a harem.
That's true.
But
it's lit RPG. I can't even remember. I haven't read it.
It is lit RPG. It is game lit progression fantasy because Boxy does level up, and so do the summons. That one does come with some warnings though, because it's
got some stuff.
It's intense, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, how can you like that? It's gross." I'm like, you know what? I try to look past it because I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on the characters. I'm focused on their progression. And when it comes down to it, Boxy's not a good person. Yeah. He's a monster. That's the point. He's not a hero.
It's one of those books that you have to read in the context of its own world rather than from within your own reader experience, if that makes sense. Yeah. Which is hard for a lot of readers to do, but it makes all the difference in books like that.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. But if you want, some fun monsters and everything like that, Blood Knight. Blood Knight. It's good. 10.5 hours on Audible, I think.
Say again?
10.5 hours?
I have no idea. Let me look. Let's see. It's a long one.
I thought it was a shorter one.
Well, long for me. 10 hours and 7 minutes. So it's short by the standards of harem and lit RPG, but it's one of my longer books.
It's a good one. It's definitely worth it. Go pick it up, guys. It's worth it, and it's tasteful too.
It's classically done.
But also super nasty. It's very tasteful, and that's one thing I've said it on every time we've had you on. It's a lot more comfortable for me to read a harem written from a female author's perspective, just because I feel like some scenes aren't going to be taken too far.
Makes sense, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I like some of the male harem authors that we've had on, Daniel Shinhofen, amazing author. His series are fantastic. But there are some authors that I won't name just because I'm not throwing shade at them or anything like that. But I've read some scenes and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
How?
I think the thing about, and it's not necessarily a hard and fast rule, but I think the thing about female authors writing sex scenes versus male authors writing sex scenes is male authors tend to focus on the action itself, whereas female authors tend to focus on both the action and the emotions behind the action.
Yeah.
And I feel like that makes a significant difference, especially if you're trying to convey a spicy scene that has relevance to the characters, as opposed to something that just reads like it was put in to satisfy the people who want smut. Because there are books where the sex scenes they just read like they're skippable and just put in there for demographics or whatever.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. And that's where it comes to with Blood Knight or Titan Mage. It's there because it's a part of the story. It affects what's happening. I mean, hell, the first time we meet Bexley, she's singing a song about wanting a tasty sausage.
Yeah. The thing about the spicy content of Titan Mage and Blood Knight is I've had people ask if I would write like clean, non-sexy versions of those because they would be, or if I would release non-sexy versions of those because the stories are basically fun.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes them hard to translate is that the sexiness is intrinsic to the world. Like it is sexy outside the sex scenes solely because of the way the characters approach sex, how comfortable they are with it, how much they want to joke about it. Like the sausage song, for example, that's not a spicy scene, but it's definitely a very bawdy scene.
Yeah.
And it makes it, and plus one of the things with Titan Mage, especially when I started the Edie Skye pen name, I was like, you know what, if I'm going to go through all the effort of creating a whole other pen name and a whole other marketing presence for this thing, we're going to make the sex absolutely intrinsic to every single part of this book, which is why Haven is canonically made up of really sexy, really horny people. Like, everybody's hot and whatnot.
I mean, Bexley has a sex dungeon.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I mean, you have
Crazy, but
characters
seriously.
yeah. There's a whole, it is complex. I look forward to exploring more elements of that part of society in subsequent series. Because I've got 3 different Titan Mage series planned, technically 4, if you include the one I haven't actually. It's like a Titan Mage the Next Generation kind of thing. So it's entirely new cast, or somewhat entirely new cast. Basically follows a lot of kids.
As long as we get a really cool Picard character, I'll allow it.
Well, not the Next Generation in terms of Star Trek reference. Next Generation in terms of Locke's progeny.
Nah, you said the Next Generation. I mean, I instantly thought Picard. So hold on. We got to workshop this, okay?
I'm locked into Titan Mage in space now, I guess.
Yeah, oh, yeah, exactly. No, that would be awesome.
Well, that is one of the things about Titan Mage. There's room for it.
We get the moon in this series. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's really funny because when the eclipse was happening, I thought about writing a little Titan Mage short story that had something to do with eclipses, and then I think, oh wait, the end of Apocalypse makes it so that there is an essential thing missing.
We had an eclipse happen, and I didn't get a system notification. I'm calling bullshit. This world is rigged. I hate it.
The closest I came was I used the Calm app, and while the eclipse was happening, I would get little notifications from the Calm app that basically were the equivalent of the stars shine brightest in the darkness. And I'm like, what does the Calm staff know that they're sending me this kind of encouraging stuff during this dark moment?
See, where my town is, we were prime viewing location. I'm talking every hotel was sold out, charging $1,000 a night with a 3-night minimum.
Wow.
There were people parked on the side of the highway, everything. Like, it was insane.
Oh yeah.
Traffic was nuts. My stores were wiped out.
Wow. Yeah, we were in the path of totality for the one that happened in 2016, 17. So I mean, I've seen
the partial eclipse.
But yeah, it was several years ago. But yeah,
17.
so I know that kind of craziness. We had parties.
I was out in Colorado for that one, which up in the mountains, it was gorgeous. It was so cool. And now I'm back in the middle of Indiana, and I'm like, I hate this. Y'all need to leave. But we've gone over the hour mark. I love how I said this is going to be a shorter episode tonight. Nah, it's our normal. It's our normal time. So. So we're gonna do our normal thing. HB, we'll start with you. What you been reading?
Well, let's see. I actually remembered to bring my books this time. So
Yay!
I've been working on Peter North's Elemental Empire for my harem book.
All right.
And then I've been reading this since the TV series came out years ago, but I'm still working through the Wheel of Time. It's so slow. Oh my gosh. It's like, I love it. And it's Jacob's favorite fantasy ever, but it's taken me some time to get through it because it's just everything's happened slowly. And then I just finished Sahara by Clive Cussler just because I needed a good, solid, crazy adventure story. And oh my gosh, this was it. It's nuts in the best way. So that's what I've been reading.
All right. Hey, Joel.
Yeah.
Get that backlog ready, buddy. Or do you want me to go first?
No, I can go.
All right.
So basically I started reading the series called The Dive. It's another series by Justin Miller, who is my all-time favorite progression fantasy author. And it's an actual VR MMO mostly. Well, I guess he did do one before, but anyway, it is fantastic. It's called The Dive, and yeah, it's really good. Also, Blood Knight, obviously, and that was also fantastic. And Law, which is the
Book
newest.
10 of Everybody Loves Large Chess.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically all I've been reading since last episode.
All right.
Rich, what you been reading?
Well, so I started Demon Card Enforcer on Royal Road because I've been trying to catch up on my Royal Road stuff, and John Stovall is fantastic, and I've been craving that deck building series. So I was like, oh, check that out. I'm caught up.
Wow.
It's damn good. It's really good. And then my mom went to Barnes and Nobles with my grandma the other day, and I was like, oh, will you pick me up a book? Because I have it on Audible, but I've been wanting a physical copy of it for a while. So I finally picked up a copy of
Nice.
Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings because Stormlight Archives, and I was like, oh yeah, I want the hardback. And they're like, why don't you want the paperback? I was like, because map. I like map. Audio wise.
Oh, I totally forgot. I read Jez Caggio's book 3.
Reclaimer.
Of, Reclaimer.
Reclaimer was so good. So good. Fucking shout out to Jez. You beautiful bastard. Let's see. So currently I'm in the process of Apocalypse Me and also Path of the Berserker because I've been, kind of craving that tower climbing book, and that one's been sitting in my backlog for a while. I can't remember if I said Mimic and Me 2 last time, but Mimic and Me 2, Eldritch Knight by Timothy McGowan, Blood Knight, Law, System Activation, which is the first book in Path of the Titans. I did revisit Savage Dominion by G.D. Penman and Luke Chimolenko, and that's a fun one. That's a really good one. But that's really about it. I'm hoping to have a few more books under my sleeve by next episode, just because I need to catch up on some of my backlog. Because holy crap, it's massive. And I'm going to get through one book in a matter of a day just to be ready for an episode.
Yeah.
That one's going to be a fun one. So we might be a little sporadic when you guys see us on not Sunday, but Saturday the 27th. We're going to try to shoot for an earlier time too, because Rachel is in Ireland. So if we do it at this time of night, it's going to be in the middle of the night for her. I don't want to be that mean, especially when they have D&D the very next day, which is why we're doing it on a Saturday instead of a Sunday. So, but please join us on the 27th for Rachel Neekirk's episode, which will be a possibly sponsored episode because we are in the talks with some sponsors now, and it's pretty damn cool. And I'm not talking like, hey, this person's today's episode sponsored. No, I'm talking actually sponsoring us, which is fucking awesome.
Yes.
So, also for all the Lit RPG authors and fans going to Jordan Con this weekend coming up, have a safe time. Have a good time. Joel, fuck you.
I will be there. I will see you there.
I won't be there. But if you see Joel, smack him for me, please. Thank you.
Don't do
that. Zeckler said, we are getting paid, boys.
You can smack your hand.
I wish. No. We are getting paid with books and knowledge. Because story time. And also, thank you for the congratulations. I appreciate it. Now, we don't do this for the money or anything. We do this for fun. We do this for...
better than money.
It is. We get to talk with fantastic authors. And it's a comment I made when talking to an author the other day. I was like, I have built so many friendships just from doing this podcast and interacting with the community and everything. It's so much fun. And then it doesn't feel real because I still fan out. Like when I finish a book, like, oh my God, this new book. It's so cool. You did this scene. Oh God. And then like when I was talking to Daryl the other day, asking him if he wanted to be on the show, I told him with a certain line he delivers, I was crying. I was laughing so hard just because I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't expecting it. It was the most obvious thing.
I have bloopers that he and Jess sent me from when they were recording. And if you think the book itself is hilarious, oh my gosh, the bloopers are amazing.
I need to hear some of the bloopers,
I
which
know.
I think you had some
I
on
know
your
that
Patreon.
I've got 2 on Patreon right now, and I think that when they don't often record them, but I think Jess said that they're going to make more efforts to record them and save them when they
Put them in the back of the book. That's what they need to do is for the audiobooks.
Yes, they
put them at
do.
the
That's
end.
actually a great idea.
Because I know Luke Daniels does it for some of his books. I know Dakota Kraut like puts it as kind of like a whole thing at the end, and I think Will White does it for Travis Baldry as well. So bloopers always
to suggest that to Royal Guard when they put together the subsequent books.
You know what? Send them our way. I'll talk to them. I'll talk to them. Be like, hey, as someone who has a lot of your guys' books in the library, just send them this clip, guys. Just send them this clip. Royal Guard Publishing. Richie Stevens here from Chattin Stats, formerly known as Stats on Stats. You'll know because I'm wearing my cap backwards like I have all season. Give us blooper reels.
How we know?
I don't know, Joel. I don't know. I'm in the mode. Okay. All right. Just please give us blooper reels. We love bloopers. They're fun. They make everything just, more humorous. Even if it's for a very serious book, add bloopers. Because if your book's going to make me question my life choices and make me cry, change that up with a blooper reel, please. For the love of God. Anyways, HB, thank you so much. And
That's
congratulations on 2 major releases because the Titan Mage box set and Blood Knight are now available on audio. Go over to audible.com/ I don't know if you can actually slash it or anything, but just search Titan Mage. It'll pop up. For a credit, 55 hours. Come on, guys.
It's a good deal.
It's a damn good deal. Go find out why they put Steam in Steampunk. Come on. I'm so proud of that. I HP, I don't know how you didn't use that in any of the promos.
There are some that I did, but I think it was overshadowed by some other pun that I made. It's like there was a period where I was like, I write Steam both smut and punk or something like that. It was I can't remember.
That was a good one. But also, I read these books for the plot, and of course,
yep.
The plot.
Yep.
The plot.
So much plot. An abundance of plot.
A lot of plot, guys. Come on. Which that's a one of a kind. That is a one of a kind.
She's got large plots
of land.
There's multiple plot points there. But HB, seriously, thank you so much for joining us again and being our 3rd unofficial member at this point. You're probably going to be tired of us in a few months anyways.
No, you guys are so fun. I love being on here. And thank you again for having me.
Hey, it's no problem. We're slap happy right now because Joel worked overnight last night and I got up at 2 a.m. to go to work and I got to do it again tomorrow.
Well, I'm working on 4 hours of sleep too. So
yep, that's what it'll be me tomorrow.
I just had a lot of coffee and cherry Coke right before this, which is the only way I'm staying up right.
I was staying hydrated so my girlfriend doesn't yell at me.
I do want to say thanks for everyone who tuned in and had an
Joel,
awesome
you start
conversation
thanking
with
people.
us.
I always thank people.
Dude, I tend to thank people.
I don't believe you.
I feel like. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could just be an asshole.
I mean, this is just going to go on if we keep going. So everyone, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Right. We'll see you guys on the 27th. So tune in. We love you too, Paul. We love you, Paul.